It was the Super Bowl the other day, and here it's just super late. And then I finished Breaking Bad the day after. And so
Oh,
yesterday, before going to sleep, I was reading, and I feel so much better today. It's crazy. Like what it does to not overload your system by staying up late and consuming like crazy nerve-wracking films or I guess games. It's such a game
mhm.
changer. Having a peaceful night, wow.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess I had a relative. Well, I went to the gym in the evening, and that was really nice. And I had a steam session after the gym, and I was like just basically pampering myself a bit, just chilling. So that felt really good, really relaxing. But then I came back, and then I basically just like did some work a little bit more. So I was in front of the screen a bit too late, and then I slept late. So it was one of those days. But yeah, it's good now. Um, yeah, I woke up at 6. I was like, yeah, I got time. I'll just like I'm feeling a bit like low energy. I'll probably just sleep another hour. And I slept 2. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens, man. I think sleep is so important. Like just to have that period of rest, especially when working in front of screens a lot, just having the eyes not focused on a million things is so nice.
Yeah, yeah. So you finished Breaking Bad?
I finished Breaking Bad.
Damn, how many seasons is that?
5.
Okay, cool.
Have you
Is it
watched
really?
it?
I watched like I think I remember watching the first season, and then I lost like I guess I don't know, something came up and I just lost like track of it. But I don't know, everyone swears by it. It's like really good. Is it up to the standards of the people?
It's good. It's really, I'd say it's up to the standards. In terms of writing, I think they've done such a good job. I mean, me myself, being interested in film and all those types of series, I feel like I can really appreciate how they have created such a universe that feels cohesive. I feel like often when watching these types of shows, it's such a unrealistic scenarios. And I feel like Breaking Bad has really found the sweet spot of telling a super exciting story, but making it realistic.
Hmm.
Um, and I find that very refreshing. Although it's harsh, it's really harsh. Like just to watch some of the things that are happening are so bad
Hmm.
negatives that is like certainly not for the weak nerve, let's put it like that. Or before sleep, I think it really can rattle you up a bit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think very realistic. You can like anyone will can just like get a van and in the middle of the desert and fucking start cooking meth or something.
I mean, yeah. That's the way. I mean, I just, but from a
I'm just kidding.
standpoint,
Yeah,
no, of course. I mean, technically, everyone could. I mean, I don't know how to do it. But
yeah.
it's just the universe that they kind of created of how the logical steps and how the characters evolve emotionally and mentally is
Hmm.
so it makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of logical jumps where it's like, oh no, this doesn't make sense now. And
Mm.
even like how the police operates and everything like that. I mean, I'm not a police officer. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it makes sense. Like they're really attempting here to do it. It's like it's a very interesting contrast also of um good and bad. And I feel like they've also done a good route in portraying something that perhaps is definitely bad in understandable ways, but then
Hmm.
also found a not cheesy way at the end to be like, hey, this is not good. Which I
Yeah.
feel like often, especially shows about drugs, like, but at the end we gotta say drugs are bad, okay? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, I think they did it in a good way.
Nice. Yeah, I've been watching anime. It's like it's kind of uh a bit of reality, but like there's a lot of like demonic, like it's like good versus evil themes, right? I mean, I guess you see that in most TV shows and movies as well, but like their version of that seems to be like, well, I don't know, like based on the few animes I've watched, it's like demons, like higher powers, like sort of possessing these individuals, and whether it's a good power or a bad power is like what determines the course of action. So I watched Demon Slayer. Um, there's 5 seasons of that as well. Um, actually, you should watch it. It's pretty cool. I think I would have loved it. I would have loved it even more if I was like if I watched it when I was like a young boy, like a in my teenage years. But yeah, it's really good. Um, man, love it. But it is kind of cheesy at some point, like some of the moves they do, and like you know, I don't want to spoil it too much, but he's like total concentration, like water breathing. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, all right, bro.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. I think anime
Yeah.
in general. I mean, I've also haven't watched many. I watched Attack on Titan and a little bit of Full Metal Alchemist, and I
Oh,
think
nice.
both are like great shows. I think also excellent writing, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really appreciate what they do in terms of also the amount of, I guess, twists they do. And they also, I mean, it's very gruesome a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it really tells interesting tales that you can reflect very well on, as you say, like society or reality or some personalities. Even if it's hidden in fantasy, I think there's a lot to take from that. Did you see Attack on Titan by any chance?
I watched 2 episodes, and I mean, it was good. It was definitely engaging. I just lost touch with it, but I want to get back to it. But my impression on those 2 episodes was like, holy crap! Like I'm already so sad. Like this, apparently, it's a very melancholic uh series. Like
Yeah.
it's not. There's no like positivity. I mean, like in terms of like uplifting you or anything. It's just like it's like a gloomy. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You don't necessarily watch it and you're like, ah, my life is so much better. It's a bit of a show, like, oh wow, but it just
Yeah,
keeps
and
going. It keeps going. It's like a spiral, and just I don't know. It keeps getting worse. But
yeah, and I usually watch these like in the evening, so that's like basically the last thing I'm almost the last thing I'm seeing before I go to bed. So I don't want to like go to bed sleepy, like it's sad or whatever. Um, yeah, I
I
guess
get it.
I'll watch it at some point. Yeah.
It's a good show. But if we talk about this, then the other day I did a mistake and opened LinkedIn before bed, and that's
Oh
worse.
shit.
That's my opinion. That's worse. And I stumbled
Yeah.
across this post, and I was again, we had many conversations about LinkedIn before, but it's like it's unfathomable to me how something is also incredibly hyped if a person of power, of status, of like a CEO or something
Oh yeah.
says something.
Yeah, it's like
It's
gospel.
yeah, it's gospel. It's insane. So I saw this post about the best cold email I've ever seen, and it was
Mhm,
this intern who reached out to Snapchat in the most
mhm,
basic email I've ever seen. He was just like, "Hey, I want to keep this short. This is the two things I've done. I'd like to internet Snapchat," and then maybe because he had a day of it, or maybe he just sheer luck. I don't think it was anything else. Sheer luck. The CEO of Snapchat saw that email and replied to it like, "Hey, thanks for the shortness of your email. Let's get you a meeting." And
mhm.
LinkedIn was hyping this up as if it's like, this is the
Yeah.
formula. This is how you do
Yeah, yeah,
cold
yeah.
emails. And you're like, bro, he probably didn't even try. Like, he didn't know. I mean, maybe, but like, it's so weird.
Yeah. But yeah, you read the comments and like you see all these like super analytical process going about like, oh wait, this is why it worked. This is like the human psychology, what blah blah blah. This comes back to what I was saying, right? Like everyone's trying to distill what other people have done in the past and achieved and like try to reproduce it as some kind of formula. But it's like, man, Look, it's good to learn from the past, but yeah, just like try and be unique and authentic. Wait, did I lose you? Oh, yeah, you muted.
Can you hear
Oh, there
me?
we go. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For
Yep.
some, my microphone said it didn't connect anymore. It just said, "Oh, goodbye." But yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I think it's so weird how it's hailed, because this is clearly a unique case. Like, the Snapchat CEO doesn't view every single mail that he gets. I mean, especially the HR department or whatever. I don't know who that mail was addressed to. Certainly not to him. He probably just checked it once, clicked on the first one, and then maybe really was like, "Oh, this is short," and just said something to it, you know. But the odds of that
Yeah.
happening isn't the formula.
Yeah, I guess like in this space, it's like people try to like with emails, it's like, okay, what results in like higher conversion rates, right? So like that means like okay, out of 100 emails, like if I send basically the same email, will I get more opens on or responses to that email? And it's like, yeah, probably because most people don't want to read like fucking 5 minutes worth of an email. Just like tell me what the hell. Like I don't want to spend time on my email. No one does, right? So it's just like, yeah, just tell me what you want. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah,
it's not that that needs to be dissected and put into this hailing thing of this high school
hmm
intern wanting to have a job at Snapchat, because it's like I would love to see just the point of view of like whoever sent that. You know, it's probably way different. Like, LinkedIn hailing this is like the whatever. I don't know who sent that LinkedIn post or whatever of the mail, but I can just imagine students being like, the CEO replied to this? Okay. You know, like, he probably sent the same email, not just to Snapchat, but a bunch of other
yeah,
companies in the area. And it's
yeah.
like now it's hailed
Copy
as the
paste.
formula.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've tried it out as well.
We all
um,
have. Maybe it's
yeah, but
just
I just copy
jealousy.
paste. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not. It's not. It was just like, okay, like, is it really gonna work? Like, let's see. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I
Mhm.
did that. I pitched a show to a bunch of different advertisers, and I wanted to get funding for it. And I sent it to so many people, and I even created a pitch deck, that I made the mistake once to like have the wrong brand, sent the wrong pitch deck to the wrong brand, and they actually replied saying like, "Oh, by the way, we're not we're not our competitor brand, but thank you very much for sending us this." But it's also what we talked about before, in a way of like, we need to act in order to move for a destiny, and I
Yeah.
think sometimes, like, yeah, of course you're going to get emails back, you're going to fail, you're going to send the wrong thing to the wrong company, whatever, but you're going to learn from it, and who doesn't knock is not going to be let in, and I think
Mm,
that's the key. Just throwing things, writing short emails to every company, eventually maybe the CEO replies, even though it's
hmm
like similar to tell a high school kid he's going to make the NFL. But like, it may happen.
That's actually a good. That's a good point. Like, I think that's like a trap, right? Like, yeah, you want to learn sort of the best practices, I guess. Um, but I think people get lost in learning, like, or trying to know everything and basically avoiding failure to the point that they're just stuck in learning and not acting, right? How about you can also just learn through action, right? Just do a bunch of shit and learn from your mistakes. I think it kind of stems from like the fear of rejection, fear of failure, you know, like if you even like let's say building an app, like 99 times your app is gonna be stupid and no one gives a shit about your app, but you still did it and you still learn from it, you still try. You'll learn more from doing that than reading on Reddit about how to build an app and how to distribute. I mean, like you can read on Reddit, but like if you don't do the thing, you'll miss out on the nuances.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. And I think we see that everywhere. Praxis, like actually doing it, is just so much more nurturing because you also retain the information, I think. It gets tricky. I've reached that point, especially when it comes to videos once, where it's also you can never leave the mindset of being a student though. Because I think there comes a point, especially with videos, I had a formula that worked. And then I just kept repeating the formula to a point where I'm like, I know how this works. And was kind of like, don't tell me anything, I know, etc. But I left the mindset of being a beginner.
Hmm.
And I think it's also a Japanese philosophical principle that's taught very much. And I really believe in that too, because you're never not learning. And whatever you do is also growing and developing and changing, especially be it an AI startup or video creation. There's always what's the trend, what is the audience like. You can always do what you want to do, but I think it needs to transform and it needs to change. It can't be stale because as soon as
Hmm.
it's stale, it's stagnant, and then people are also going to lose interest,
Yeah,
interestingly enough.
for sure. Like, people are not the same. People are always changing. So why would your methods that have worked in the past like always stay like they're not going to always work, right? It's like it's constantly like new formats. Like that's why, look, YouTube used to be just long form videos or like normal one format videos, right? And then shorts came about actually pretty recently, I would say, compared to like the lifespan of YouTube. It's because our over time our attention span has reduced. Our We want to be excited and get the maximum amount of information in the least amount of time, right? So like if you had long form videos in the past that were doing really well, doesn't mean that I mean, they might still do decent, but it's like if you don't adapt to the short form content as well, then you're missing out on a lot of reach, right? So it's kind of like that. And then who knows if maybe the next thing after shorts, what there could be something else. I don't know. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And I think it's also a bit of cockiness that always bites you in the end. I think cockiness is great, like, confidence and being okay, I know what I'm doing. And you build up an expertise, even if it changes and you need to adapt. But I think it's tricky to be kind of stuck in thinking that it has worked before. There's once a great concept that I've seen that was explaining the cage of creators online that is based on the audience, where you create based on pleasing the audience rather than pleasing yourself. And as soon as you do that, you create a cage for yourself that you only maneuver in what you think the outside wants from you. And I think
Mhm.
that can be applied to a lot of other things, be it family situations that want you to be something and you not really wanting to be, but you need to work in this framework in your mind in order to please them. And I find that tricky to find a good way out of it. Even if it's free, even if it's just in your mind, it can be so strong, and it's important to find ways to overcome it.
Yeah, it's really hard actually because that's like challenging like your conditioning. Basically, you're trying to break away from conditioning, whether that's, like societal, parental, all the influences in your life, you're trying to create a distance from and then act from whatever is there. Like if you don't have experience with distancing yourself from that, even for a moment, then it's going to be very hard because it's like entangled. It's like for so long, it's a part of you that how do you act truly authentically? That's like the biggest challenge, right? What does that even mean? Who am I is the question, right? Like who am I? I don't know. Like I'm basically like I'm gonna normal people would just answer like, okay, I'm my name, or I am my job, or I am the thing I'm doing, or I am like with my values and beliefs. All of that is like shaped by external things, right? But then like as deeper as you go, like you know, it's not like you're devoid of influence or inspiration. Like I always say, it's not conditioning is not like conditioning can be conscious. You can choose consciously what conditions you and what like values and stuff you want to absorb. But the like you're still gonna act from a place of conditioning, but at least choose, at least be the conscious decider of like, okay, I want to be this way. Don't act like compulsively, right? That's like the challenge.
Yeah, I think that is a question to go down on the who am I? I think that is so profound because it's so difficult to find an answer to it. Because as soon as you strip those outer things away of my age, my nationality, whatever it might be, as you say, it's okay. Like you go down layers, but to really find out is also to, at least that's what I feel, is experience yourself in various different situations and then
Yeah,
hold on to reflect and like think about that experience and how you behaved in it.
yeah. And you don't like, there's no rules again. Like the depth of the layers you peel back to answer that question don't have to go like all the way to like basically enlightenment where you've removed everything and you're just like this sitting ball of nothingness, like encapsulating everything. Like you don't have to be in that like monk state. You can just peel back layers that are not serving you, right? As you grow, you peel back more layers. Maybe you absorb another layer. Like it's like this is life. You know, we are identities of of some sort. It's just as we grow and evolve, what identity do we want to assume, right? And then eventually, like, yeah, sure, if you if that's in your path, then yeah, and you peel back all the identities and you don't they don't serve you anymore, but they can still serve you for what you're doing right now. It's not like everyone has to become enlightened and like nothing or something, right? Just it's part of the journey. So just but it's just yeah, you just gotta have a reality check at some point, like frequently, I think. Be like, okay, like am I acting in alignment with who I want to be right now, right?
Yeah, you gotta, sometimes you just gotta do another cycle in the samsara and then break out another time. You just,
Mm,
sometimes you just gotta ride that bicycle and say, okay, maybe this is not the life I become a monk. Maybe it's the next one. But would
mhm.
you say you have some practical tips on how to remove a layer or how to find a layer and kind of find ways to transform?
I don't know. I can't distill it to a formula as we've been saying, but um I just but I this is a good example of like I just learned what is sitting well with me, right? And I think most people, like even from personal experience, my intuition wasn't as strong enough, like to the point where I could even decipher what it was like that I want to be or who I wanted to be. So I needed to hone my like intuition, and that's why I did. Well, I don't even know if I did yoga initially for that reason, but that was a byproduct of doing years of yoga. Was it automatically broke down the layers of I guess like conditioning that weren't serving me, and it enhanced my intuition to understand. Okay, this is not sitting well. This is sitting well within my system, and like this feels right. But it's enhancing your perception of feeling. Like to just know what feels right is a is actually something you have to train. If especially when we're not born with these kind of abilities, I think, right? So I think in my experience, like having some kind of practice that enhances your awareness, whether that's like, I think usually it's like some kind of meditation or yoga or something. Just do that, even if you don't know where it's going. It'll enhance your baseline level of awareness. And then actually, I reached a point through yoga, I realized that I don't need that much yoga. And then I've reached a point where it's like, okay, I can peel back the very identities that weren't serving me, they've peeled back, but then I unknowingly assumed this new spiritual identity, and that actually was not serving me. So I had to peel that back as well. And then now I'm like in a kind of like in a relatively peaceful balance where I'm like not telling myself I'm spiritual. I'm not telling myself I'm like good or bad or whatever. I'm just like, okay, just acting and no judgment or trying not to judge myself. And that's it. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But that was my journey.
That's beautiful, and I can really relate to this journey. And there's actually a sentence you said to me years ago when we met at, I think, Spirit Fest, about clothing and outer identity. Because I remember I don't know, we're sitting there and you were wearing something like super casual, like you would see in like a coffee shop wherever in the world, but it's like here at a river beach with a bunch of hippies. And it's like, you said something like, yeah, there's no point in wanting to show other people in the world that I am spiritual. And
Mm.
I found that very profound, because I think especially in these spiritual circles, you see who has the biggest hat, who has the nicest feather in their hair, who wears the loosest clothes. And I think there's actual power and identity in just not needing to prove something externally. And I think that also showcases some groundedness, or like so being centered. And I really took that at heart at the time, because I was drifting in that hippie clothing style. And I think it's part of that, of being in both worlds and also accepting that both exists. I feel like for me, I've adapted the worldview that spirituality is not something you can be, or you can't be spiritual, because I think the entire world is. So
Mm.
it's not a belief system, it's just there. And then it's how we interact with that world, I guess, that makes the difference. At least that's how I view it now.
Yeah, I agree. And like it's also like look, I said that, but I also meant that like look, dressing up like fashionably or uniquely or crazily, that's fun. Like do it for if you're doing it, do it like because you genuinely like it excites you, it just gives you joy. But it's like but don't do it for other people, like for self gratification or like something like that. Like do it for a reason that it's genuinely like an expression of yourself, right? That's what I meant. Was like, I mean, we see that in just like regular life, right? People, why do they wear branded clothes and stuff like that? It's like what looks good is usually determined by what is perceived as good by other people, and that's what I was trying to say. Is like just what looks good to you. That's all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really agree with that. And it's interesting though how even there's some clothes that are like societally accepted, and
Hmm.
others that are on the outliers. I have a big problem with Berlin in that regard. I'm beefing with Berlin because it's so alternative, but it's alternative because people want to be perceived as alternative, not because they're alternative. So it's
Mm.
like mainstream to be different, but then
Yeah.
who is really authentically different? And that's also like the point we make here, right? Are you wearing Gucci because you like it? Or what is the reason you wear Gucci? It's the same thing of why are you wearing that big feather fedora? Are you
Hmm.
doing it for yourself? Or is it like a peacock showing his feathers?
Yeah. And I don't know, like I think some points you can feel it when someone's like genuinely uh doing it for themselves. But that kind of like that's a good point. A place as the place is known for a certain vibe or way of behaving, there will be a lot of like pretenders in that space because they think that's cool and that's again like it's like our default mode, I think, to try and conform to our environment, right? So it's the same thing that happens in San Francisco, what you described. It's like there's a bunch of like autistically intelligent people who genuinely were like that, and then that culture kind of spread, and then people are looking at that and being like, "Hey, I need to be like that." Maybe that's what it takes to be like a intelligent tech CEO who's crazy and weird and like perceived as intelligent because of it. Now I need to put on that show that I'm crazy and weird. How can I just be normal dude and build a tech company? Like, you know, how can I pitch investors without being autistic?
That's genius. I mean, that's even crazier than if I imagine San Francisco is just a bunch of people trying to imitate Mark Zuckerberg. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
what
bro.
type of
Yeah,
world would we
100%.
living in?
It is happening. It's happening. I see it. Um, Look, I feel like I have a decent radar for assessing whether someone's genuinely like like autistic, for lack of a better term. Like not like, obviously diagnosed as autistic, but like he's like clearly in his own world and he's like very passionate in that specific domain, right? I've met people and I know when they are, but then I see other people. I'm like, yeah, I can see the act. I'm like, dude, why are you doing this? Just be yourself. Like, that's what relates. Being yourself, like that guy being autistic, is only relatable and powerful because that's really him. Like he went really deep into, I don't know, building toys as a kid and then building benches like in college, and like he was really into industrial engineering. I met someone like this. That's why I'm describing these things. And like now he's like really into like engineering systems, and that's why all he talks about is that, and you can feel it. But if you are just like some casual, I don't know, jock or whatever, like in school or like whatever, like your personality is not that. Why? Like, if I'm just a regular, like Theo Vaughn is a good example. Theo Vaughn is just like, that was just him, and that is him now, and that's why he's so relatable. It's not like people come to him because he's the most intellectual, like intellectually stimulating guy. They love him because his vibe is very authentic, and that's what's relatable. It's like, hey, this guy's just like cool because he's stupid, but it's funny and it's relatable, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think even there, though, it's tricky, especially in the public life, to find a way to maintain authenticity when the outside gets louder.
Mm.
Because it's like if you describe, for example, this brand of Theo Vaughn, I'm sure this is also something that he's aware of that analytically does well. If he says some really dumb thing or, even profound
Yeah.
things, I mean, he's all over the place, but it creates this thing of this need of, oh, I press record. Now I almost need to amplify those aspects and show up in a way that people want me to be. And I find
Hmm.
that very tricky because even with those personalities, it's only a side of the coin. He
Hmm.
might be completely different if you're just out there turkey hunting with him, like random example, but like he might be
That's a
completely
very
different.
apt example, actually. But yeah,
Might happen.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's important to value that within yourself and also in others. There's a famous, or one of the most famous Portuguese writers, Fernando Pessoa. I find him very interesting because he used a lot of heteronyms. And heteronyms isn't just like pseudonyms where he's like, oh, this book I'm writing as Sebastian, whatever, but it's fully embodying another person. So he used to be a professional astrologer as well, and he created birth charts for every single heteronym that he wrote in. So he
Mm.
had some poems he wrote as this engineer that he wrote multiple poems with. Another one, he was like a pastor, a shepherd, and he wrote a lot of poems from the perspective of that person. And he had 137 of those. And it's just interesting because it's so all over the place, while at the same time, I feel like it's a very interesting way to authentically express oneself by
Mm.
giving aspects of yourself different names. and attributes. I think it also sounds a bit schizo, don't get me wrong, but I think there is some power to allowing to value various attributes of yourself. And I guess the way he did it was finding, I guess, personas for them.
It's actually, it sounds like Hinduism, if you ask me, because you got all these gods, goddesses, and I think they reflect various parts of human nature, ourselves. And energetically, personality wise, whatever traits that we can imbibe if we want, like a certain like aspect in our life. Like for example, Devi is known for divine feminine, but also she's fiery and she's passionate and she's very like active in the world. So if you want to be that, like apparently like you should be, I mean, in Hinduism they worship Devi for that reason. And similarly, Shiva, if you want like to destroy, Shiva is just like that empty state, right? He represents that deep nothingness state that encapsulates everything. So like if you want to get into that deep state of meditation, Shiva is like the personality to meditate on. And then it's really just it's a frequency training, right? It's like these are different personas that encapsulate different frequencies that yeah, you can serve you. But yeah, this is just what came up to me when you're describing that.
No, but yeah, I mean, it is like that. I don't know Hinduism that well. I've read the Bhagavad Gita, and that was one of the most powerful books I've read. It's just interesting to compare these things, especially when it comes to ancient mythology, how much is really applicable to our modern day life. It's always this phenomenon of how do these Greek philosophers say exactly what applies to us, even though they lived, 2000 years ago. It's just there's something universal about that, about life
Mm,
and humans.
yeah, I have to go.